Hi everybody, this is Rhys Barber from Audiology Associates. Thank you very much for watching our earwax removal compilation video today. Two patients in this compilation, both of which have dry skin, dry wax issues going on. So you can see this first patient here, some very, very deep, quite hardened up wax here. Now, if you're a regular viewer to the channel, you'll know that when you get these kind of very deep pieces of wax doesn't normally form this deep in the ear canal. It's usually pushed a bit further down, or wax as we know it anyway, is normally formed on the outer part of the ear canal. So this is obviously being pushed in, and where it compacts together, it becomes quite hard like this has. We've put a little bit of olive oil in here before we started, just because it was quite tough, so it helps us to get a better grip with the suction. We've got the standard size ulnar tube in here, just slowly wiggling this up and down, bringing it very, very slowly to the outside edge of the ear canal here. You can see this front end is actually quite angular, where it's been sloping down against the canal wall. So when you lift it off, then it can be a little bit difficult to get a good grip with suction, because when it is quite thin like this, the suction doesn't hold on to the end particularly well. So you go to the outer part of the ear canal here. You can see we're really kind of wiggling this, trying to work it under that top leading edge of the canal entrance there. You can see we've got it detached, but something seems to be holding this in. So we're just going to switch just to grab with the crocodile forceps now. We've got this quite hard plate at the front, so we're going to hold on to that. But as you can see, as we're pulling it, something is just sort of holding it further back. Now, you can see the wax tails off into the ear canal quite a way, so we're giving this a good wiggle now. But look at this as it's coming away. Still going. Still coming out. You can see it was quite a long piece of wax, very, very dried out as well. We'll show you a good view of this at the end there. But yeah, quite a substantial piece of wax there. So we're just going to tidy up around the outside edge, do a little bit of hoovering up here. There's a bit of loose skin you can see just there to the right hand side that's going down the canal wall a little bit. So we're going to get rid of that now. So we're going to bunch all that into the end of the suction, give it a really good wiggle up and down, which is going to detach it. You can see it all kind of puckering up into the end of the suction there. Let's get in here now with the crocodile forceps, see if we can take it out in one big piece. Just tearing away through the end, unfortunately, there. So we're just going to see if we can switch position, clamp down on another little bit. There we are, got a good grip. You can see as we start to draw this away now, how it's coming from deeper into the ear canal. There we go. All come away really nicely. Take a look behind that. There's the eardrum there, looking lovely and healthy. So no issues there on that side. You can see the handle pointing off to the right hand side, which shows it's a right eardrum. So this is the same patient, but their second ear now. And you can see we've got that very dry wax consistency here as well. You know, you are genetically predisposed to either sort of wet wax or dry wax. This patient obviously is more predisposed to this drier type wax here. So you can see we're lifting from the outside of the ear canal, using the standard size ulnar tube again here, just moving it across from right to left, taking a little slot of wax, a little sort of thin piece of wax there from the outside edge. And then we've got some more dry skin and wax to the left-hand side, so remove that. You will see a big black hair in here, guys. Unfortunately, it was sitting so close to the canal wall that I couldn't lift it off. We couldn't get it out. So we advised this patient, you know, that will migrate out with sort of baths and showers and bits and pieces as well. So it will pop out to the ear naturally. There we are, got a good grip. That little bit of dry skin at the back end though is still attached to the canal wall, and then the wax at the front has dried around it, so it's not really pulling out very easily. So we've got the crocodile forceps back in here again. And just very gently tease this out. There we are. There's a little piece further in. See if we get a grip on that. There we go. So we just snuck up on that last little bit sitting against the eardrum there. So that's come away really nicely. There's the eardrum. You can see that black hair I was talking to you about. So this is what we removed. So the piece you can see there, which starts at around about the 3/4 of an inch to 0 mark, that was what came out the first ear. And the piece to the left-hand side then came out to the second ear there. So what, 1.25 inches altogether, just over 3 centimeters. Now the reason we didn't get that black hair out in the last patient, when it rests really close to the canal wall, to be able to lift it, you've got to kind of dig into the canal wall to pull it down, which is really, really uncomfortable for the patient. So if we can get this away easily, we'll do it. But if it's really kind of just stuck there or resting so closely to the canal wall, rather than risk causing the patient any discomfort or run the risk of any bleeding in there, I'd much rather let that come away on its own. So that explains why we didn't get that black hair out. So this is our second patient in the compilation. You can see very, very dry wax here as well. Nice big chunk of wax, much deeper in. Patient had confessed they'd been using a Q-tip, so that's the reason it was also deep in the ear canal. Been having quite a lot of difficulty on this particular side. Not so much difficulty on the other, but we'll take a good look at that ear as well in a second. There we are. So that was the first ear, all nice and clear. When we look at the second ear here, you can see we've got a very, very thin, dry layer of skin and wax right down on top of the eardrum. Now, this is not an easy one to remove. It's really deep. It's right against the eardrum. It's quite flat, and it's also quite dry, not only onto the drum, but onto the opposing canal wall as well, which means it's going to be a devil of a job getting this off. We've got the fine end in here. Now what we're going to do first of all is just probe this wax for any sort of looser sections there. We're looking for any bit of wax or skin in there that we can get a bit of purchase on. But what you can see, it's so flat and so dry that when we're trying to get a grip, you're trying to pull the whole plate rather than just take a little bit away. So we've introduced a little bit of olive oil in here, which can sometimes help just to loosen this a little bit. You can see me very slowly working around the outside edge. There's actually a few little stray hairs embedded into this wax as well, which are actually resting against the eardrum. So I'm hoping if they stay embedded in the wax that we can take the whole thing out here. So you can see we've got a looser section there. You can just see me trying to very, very gently tease this off the eardrum. Now you can imagine if this is quite firmly attached, you're always watching not only the wax you're pulling away, but you're also keeping an eye on that eardrum behind. If you started to notice any flexion or so any movement to that eardrum as you were pulling on the wax, you tell this patient to go away and soften even further, because the last thing you want to do if it's really dried on there is to take, to cause a tear or anything like that on the eardrum itself. So just slowly working our way around. You can see those little hairs we were talking about there. Lifting this right-hand section. You can see there's quite a bit in the valley as well. When we're trying to pick this up, you've got these little hairs all kind of jutting out at the top of the wax there. And what's happening is where we're trying to get a grip on the leading edge, the edge of the suction tube is actually pushing against the hair, so it's pushing it away. So I've got that one section away now. Going to go in for the next section. There we are, just lifting. You can see that coming out. You can see those little hairs we were talking about now, all pulling away from the eardrum, just angling forwards a little bit. We're down to this next section. But as we're trying to kind of hold on to it, the top portion of those hairs is pushing it back all the time. There you are, you can see as we're trying to pull it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to gather all the hairs into the end of the suction, lower it down onto that piece of wax, and then hopefully it's going to, there you go, it's got a good enough grip then to pull this away. So sometimes if what you're doing isn't really working, just changing your technique just ever so slightly will help you get that out a little bit more effectively. So you can see we've still got this dry patch. I was hoping that by taking this piece away from the right, it would actually take the piece from the left as well. But luckily we've managed to just create a little bit of movement. There we go, and we've taken that section away there to the left-hand side. There is another little section there with a few more hairs embedded in it, so we'll grab that next. There we are, you can see we're looking for these kind of looser pieces. There we go. There we are, you can see the whole thing just peel off the eardrum there. Looking for a solid grip now. We're just sort of moving across different parts of the wax and skin there. There we go. We've got a good solid grip there. Out that comes. Taking all those little tiny hairs with it as well. If we take a good look behind that now. There we are, you can see the eardrum there. We're just going to tidy up around the left-hand side and the top a little bit here. Guys, loads of you were asking about my dad's charity challenge, Mr. B Senior, and how he's getting on with the sponsorship and stuff like that. He's actually managed to smash the goal, thanks to you guys. His goal was to raise about £3,000. I think last time I checked, we were about £3,200. So thank you so much, everybody who donated for that one as well. And I will keep you posted. As soon as we've got a date that that's going to take place, I'll do a video about that one as well. So just keep you posted and say a massive thank you. I know he wants to come on and say thanks as well. So so thanks again, guys. That was awesome. So we just managed to get this last little bit away here. There we go, and you take a look at the eardrum. Looks a little bit mottled, a little bit kind of grey in colour, slightly retracted, I would say. They're looking at that as well. So, you know, a patient may be experiencing a little bit of reduced middle ear pressure there. So what you can see here, this is what we removed. So the piece to the right-hand side, that came out of the first ear. The pieces to the left-hand side came out of the second. So altogether, roughly about 3/4 of an inch thereabouts. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video as much as I did voicing it over. So I shall see you again on Wednesday. As always, guys, take care of yourselves and one another, and I'll see you again soon.